Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our last special guest for this podcast. He used to cover OU for the Oklahoman, where he was named the Beat Writer of the Year in 2016. He's previously covered the Arkansas Razorbacks for SEC Country. He is also an OU alum. Give it up for our guy, Jason Kersey.
What's up, fellas? Thanks so much for having me.
What's going on,
What's
Jason?
up? What's up, Jason? Man, it's
Great.
crazy. I'm used to getting interviewed by
But
you.
Right. This is the other way around now. So now I'm in your house now. So
Yeah, guys, we thought it would be cool to do like a little reverse interview type of deal just to switch things up for the bye week. Obviously, we've already had Maggie, we've already had Jocelyn, and now our guy isn't even an athlete. Or wait, hold on. Let me not disrespect you. Did you used to play ball or anything, Jason?
I played in high school, but I wasn't very
Okay.
good. I wasn't very good. Look, you definitely win in order of putting me last is appropriate. Let's just put it that way. It's appropriate.
Oh, yeah, we put the heavy hitters first, huh?
Got
Yeah,
to.
absolutely.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming on to the pod. We don't like to waste any time on here, so we're just going to get straight on to it. I have the first question, and then I know my boy B. Willie, he's got some. We just go and pop these suckers off, right?
All right, sounds great.
So, my first question is, do you have a memorable moment from being confronted by a coach or a player for something negative that you've written about them?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, a couple actually. I remember the first time I ever got kind of called out by a coach. It was a high school coach. I was like 19 covering a high school game. I had written something the previous week. I worked for this little newspaper called the Newcastle Pacer down in Newcastle, Oklahoma. And I'd written something. I had like quoted him and he thought I'd misquoted him, I think was the deal. And he confronted me on the field after their next game, which they'd lost. So he was already in a bad mood.
Oh wow.
Um, and that was really uncomfortable. And I'm sure I didn't handle that great. But because I didn't know what to do. But that guy's a great guy. And I ran into him about 5 years ago and I told him he prepared me for Bob Stoops. So,
Oh,
he thought that was pretty funny. No, I mean, I was just messing with him, but yeah. And then the other one would probably be, I mean, Bob and I had a really good relationship, but it could be, I wouldn't say it could be confrontational. It's just Bob and I had a very open relationship in a lot of ways. Like if he was upset with me, I generally knew it because he would let me know.
Right.
But I do remember one instance in particular. He was upset with something I'd written, and we used to in the old red room. Heck, probably before you guys' time, the old red room. We used to sit in there and wait for practice to be over to interview the players. And I just remember we weren't supposed to talk to Bob after that presser, and we were all sitting there. All the media was sitting there together. The door just pops open and it Stoops. He goes, "Jason," and he wanted to talk to me. So that was a little bit surprising too. As someone who grew up in Oklahoma, like went to OU, it was like Bob Stoops is pissed off at me. That was something. But it's just part of the job, man. Sometimes it's confrontational.
yeah.
Most definitely. Sometimes you are the villain. I mean, it just comes with the territory, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's part of the job. If it wasn't sometimes confrontational, I probably wouldn't be doing it right. So
What
Most definitely.
coach would you say is the most media friendly?
oh man. Brett Bielema was super media friendly when I covered him at Arkansas. He was really easy to deal with. Trying to think the ones I've been around because I haven't been around a ton. I've only really covered OU and Arkansas, so I don't have a lot to compare it. But like I said, me and Stoops had a great relationship. Lincoln's always very cool to us. I don't, I mean, we don't agree on everything all the time, but like I don't have any major beef with Lincoln either. So I try to get along with everybody.
All right, all right. Well, now it's my turn. I got a question for you. Obviously, you went to OU, graduated from OU. So when you assumed your profession as a beat writer, like, did you have to separate, you being an OU fan from your job, or did that just kind of continue? Like,
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think a lot of people don't really understand. It's like it's hard. it's hard to like cover a team objectively and also be emotionally attached to it. I think that's what makes us a little bit different than fans, is that, like fans can scream into the wilderness and get on social media and, boo and do all that kind of stuff because they're fans. That's what they're supposed to do. Like, not supposed to do, but you know what I mean? Like, that's
Right.
just what fans do. But we actually like talk to you guys. So like,
Right.
we we can't be emotionally attached to it like that, good or bad. Like, so I try to stay pretty neutral down the middle. I did grow up in Noble, just south of Norman. I grew up going to OU games with my dad. So yes, I was a big OU fan when I was a kid. And but I'm pretty open about that. And then I did graduate from OU, but nowadays, yeah, I try to keep it pretty neutral, because if you get too emotionally attached to it, it's just hard to do the job. It's hard to sit down and write an article after a game if you're like really emotionally charged up. You kind of have to train that out of yourself almost, if that makes sense.
Most definitely.
I'm glad you play a neutral position because as a player, there's nothing worse than having a bad game or doing something bad, and then you have to see it on social media as well. So, thank you, Jason, for being a positive face, at least for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my thing is I just try to shoot everybody straight. You guys are probably annoyed sometimes to talk to us. I get that totally. 1,000,000%. If there was somebody who, after every time I wrote an article, wanted to like get me on a Zoom and then ask me why I use that word and that word, I'd probably be pretty annoyed too. So it's all part of the deal, but I get it. I get it.
Cool, man. I have the next question. You can answer either one of these. So,
Okay.
what is the best game you've ever covered, or who is the best player you've ever covered, both on the field and off the field?
Okay, that's a great question. Best game would probably, I'm sorry to bring this up, but that Rose Bowl with Georgia.
Oh,
I mean, I know but it's hard to top that. The setting and how
Yeah.
beautiful it is out there, that stadium, and then that game going the way that it did. I know it didn't end in y'all's favor, and I'm sorry to bring that up, but it's kind of hard for me to think of one better than that.
I tell
Um,
people all the time that's my favorite game in the entire world that I've lost. Like,
yeah.
I've never been in an environment where I'm just like, man, like we lost, but like I walked away like, wow, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And just that setting. I tell people all the time, that's the most beautiful scene for a game that I've ever seen. Just those mountains in the background, and it's
Yeah.
just what a perfect place for college football. Really. And best player on the field would probably have to be Baker or Kyler, probably, I would think. I mean, present company excluded, of course. Braden Willis and Jeremiah Hall are 1 and 2. After them,
I appreciate that. You know.
I would. It's hard to top Heisman winners, so I'd probably say Baker and Kyler. And then off the field, my favorite memory of a guy that I covered was Eric Stryker. I don't know how well if you guys ever have gotten to meet him or know him, but when he was between his junior and this is like a memory that I have between his junior and senior year is when the whole SAE crap happened. And Strike actually called me and asked me to come interview him because he wanted to like get things off his chest and go public with how he felt about it. And it was an honor that he called me. It was like kind of shocking. That stuff doesn't happen very often. And by it very often, I mean ever. And that stuff never happens. And I came away from that conversation not only like feeling like I'd done a good job building a relationship with him, that he would trust me with that, but also, I mean, I learned a lot from that conversation. As a person of my race who comes from where I come from, there's a lot of things I don't understand either. And so I've always said Eric Stryker kind of is somebody, because not only did I cover him and love covering him and love interviewing him, but I also learned a lot from him.
Yeah, I remember Strike would still be around when I first got here, and man, he's a little smaller than I thought. But nah, man, Striker is honestly a great guy. I love watching him play on
Yes.
TV before I got to OU, and in person, like I said, not only is he a great player, but he's really great to have a conversation with, just talking about ball, not talking about ball, talking about off the field. issues, day-to-day life. So I don't disagree with anything you just said. I love Strike.
He
For
used to
sure.
come in. He used to come into the interview room after practice, and it would just be whatever was on his mind that day. So, like one day, I'll never forget. He came in, and he's like, we were all gathered around him. He said, "Before you ask me any questions, I just want to talk to you about this history class I had today." And then he talked for like 10 minutes about that, and then we moved on to questions. He was just such an interesting dude. He really was.
Maybe I need to start doing that.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Oh boy, Brady, you got one more?
Yeah, man, of course. Let's see. This is one that I want to ask. How does the OU fan base differ from the Arkansas fan base?
Oh man, you're gonna get me in trouble.
Be careful now.
No.
Tread lightly.
They're different because in Arkansas, it's just that's all that's there. Like that is it. Arkansas football is all that's in that entire state. Now there are smaller colleges, there's Arkansas State, whatever, but everybody in the state cares about Arkansas. It's like when they play, they're playing for the whole state. And in Oklahoma, you've got OSU, you've got the Thunder, you've got like other things that people are interested in, but like there are more OU fans probably than Arkansas fans just because it's been a better program historically. But like when you're in the middle of it, it's just very different. When people, I mean, that hog call thing that they do, like I've seen that in some very weird places. Like they'll do that literally anywhere. It's a little bit like if somebody shouts boomer in the airport, somebody shouts Sooner back, but it's just different. I don't know. That fan base has been a little bit tortured through the years. They haven't had as much success as the OU fan base has. So that creates some differences as well. So I don't know. I'm trying to tread light. I don't want to insult anybody, but it's they're different. They're different. They really are different.
Well, Jason, before we let you go, man, normally with your platform, you're talking about us, you're talking about sports, you're talking about what the people want to hear. Is there anything you want to talk to Sooner Nation about? Let them know what's going on. Maybe you have a history class that you want to ramble about for 10 minutes,
Oh man, I don't know. God, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to be lame off the top of my head. I don't know. I'm so used to talking to OU fans about OU that I don't know. You throw me off a little bit.
Any wife and kids? Anything going on?
Well, I don't have any kids. I'm married. Way out kicked my coverage on that one. Wonderful, beautiful wife named Annie. I just have a dog. That's about it. We dog named Buster, little Pomeranian.
Okay.
So yeah, we dressed him up for Halloween. He was pretty upset about that. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I wish I had a better answer, Jeremiah.
You're
I really
good,
don't.
man.
Hey, I'll say this: like, support all your bald friends. Okay, you don't know what they're going through. That's what I want to say. There it is,
sir.
you don't know what it's like.
Hey, if we win the national championship, I think Braden is gonna shave his.
Yeah,
Braden. Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast on the Prairie, man. We really appreciate you and your time.
Thank you, Jason.
Man, that was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is perfect.